have the conversations been like with other lawmakers in the House, both Republicans, I'm sure you've talked to them, as well as Democrats, if you've talked to them about this?
So I'm going to repeat it again. I think anyone who has been paying attention recognizes that is a severe cognitive decline in the president from on a month-to-month basis, on a 6-month basis, on a yearly basis, on a 2-year basis. Just go back and look at the videos from a year ago or 2 years ago. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm an attorney. But I've had experience dealing with people over the years, as all of us have. Talk to Ronnie Jackson, Representative Ronnie Jackson, who is a physician and can describe for you, yeah, he's seriously declining from the standpoint of knowing what's going on around him. The gentleman is 81 years old. Now, look, my mother is going to be 101 years old this year. She's sharp as a tack. Absolutely sharp as a tack. She's not suffering from dementia. I'm around people who are aged. I'm around other people who are suffering from cognitive decline. So again, all of the people who are not trying to cover up what's been going on with Joe Biden are well aware of what's going on. I don't need a physician to tell me what my eyes are showing me.
So can you elaborate on what those conversations with fellow lawmakers have been like since the fallout from the debate? Because the president had trouble forming coherent sentences at times. He was trailing off. People seemed to be surprised after the debate. So in your conversations, you're saying no one in your circles was surprised.
We weren't surprised. We've been watching this take place for quite some time. The Joe Biden that we've been watching for the last 6 months showed up last Thursday. What the conversation before the debate is what were they going to try to do to try to cover up the fact that he's got these serious cognitive issues? So the question was, were they going to try to dial in on some kind of a cocktail to allow him to function better? Whether, I don't even know what kind of drugs they would have been giving him to do that. Were they changing his sleeping patterns so that 9 o'clock at night appeared to be 11 o'clock in the morning for him? His own staff has indicated that from about 10 to 4 is really the only period of time during the day that they can even engage with him or he's capable of making decisions. So did they change his sleeping habits so that when he showed up on the stage that day, he didn't know it was 9 o'clock at night? So I'm going to go back to what I think is the most significant issue here. We're all focusing on his physical and mental decline, which I've been talking about for months and months and months, because I'm not an idiot. I mean, we know that there's something going on with the president. All of us do. So the bigger issue is who is running the country and who is making these incredibly important decisions. I'll go back to the Ukrainian thing again. He entered into an agreement with Ukraine for 10 years to provide security with no vote from Congress whatsoever. That's our role. He does not have the unilateral authority to do that. But who behind Joe Biden is the one making that decision? Because it's clearly not the president. Who is behind the decision of withholding aid to Israel? Because it's clearly not the president, despite the fact that Congress had actually voted to send that aid to Israel. Who is making the decisions about the student loans? The billions of dollars that the taxpayers of the United States of America are being saddled with because somebody wants to get a degree in gender studies and then can't get a job. Despite the fact that the United States Supreme Court has said that the president does not have the legal authority to do that in the first place. So I want to get back to the question of who is running the country, who is making these decisions, what unelected bureaucrat or bureaucrats are making the decisions for Joe Biden, because Joe Biden's not there.
I mean, do you have an answer for your own question? I'll throw it back to you. As a lawmaker who's someone is in Washington, you're more privy to these closed door conversations. Who do you think is making the decisions if you don't think it's Joe Biden?
So I think that Mayorkas is very much involved with making decisions about the open border. And that's why we impeached him, because he is violating the law. He has repeatedly violated the law since the moment that Joe Biden took office. He and Joe Biden both. They do not have the legal authority to do en masse paroles into the country. They nullified the Remain in Mexico policy. They do not have the authority to grant what is ostensibly asylum for 10 to 15 years at a time. So he's blatantly violating the law. So I think that Mayorkas is absolutely culpable for what's going on with the border. I think Christopher Wray is absolutely responsible for some of the decisions where he's targeting conservatives, targeting Catholics, targeting parents who want to go to school boards and challenge what is going on with the education of their children. I think that Merrick Garland is also involved with targeting the political enemies of this regime. I think that was clear after the decision by the United States Supreme Court last week dealing with the January 6th issue. I have been saying for years now that you cannot use what is a financial statute that was adopted after the Enron situation to try to prosecute people for walking through the U.S. Capitol. Yet that's what they did, and the United States Supreme Court agreed with me. So I think Merrick Garland has been very much involved with persecuting what they perceive to be the enemies of the Democrats in this regime. Are there others? Yes. I look at, well, Pete Buttigieg, he's really just kind of out to lunch on pretty much everything. He's been a failure from top to bottom. So that's why you see the disasters in the transportation industry. You see that with the issue with our airliners. You see that with the train derailments. You see that with the challenges with the supply chain. So I think there's a variety of people who are working on these issues within this administration, none of them being the president of the United States. So again, we have no accountability for the decisions that are being made because the president is not the one making those decisions.